World title fight after world title fight, or top of the bills. It was tapped into the boxing, MMA.
Most people know Tiger Muay Thai, but maybe they're not too familiar of what's going on internally.
Tiger is like a 20 years anniversary this year, you know, and now they're starting to put a lot of stuff back in. There's a real good team building, like I mentioned earlier with Jay. The conditioning's taken off, the boxing's taken off, Raphael's back, the kickboxing's taken off. The Muay Thai is like phenomenal. It's putting out fights every week and one championship.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host Brendan. Today we have an absolute legend returning. It is John Hutchinson. We had him on almost a year ago. I'm not going to go in circles. I'm not going to tell you to like. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you about our lion's mane mushroom or reishi. I'm just not going to do that. So without getting you waiting much longer, without further ado, John Hutchinson back on the podcast. All right, buddy, first, thanks for coming back.
No problem. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we had a funny bit of a delay today. Our production team, the car broke down, and then on the way their motorbike broke down. So we're running a bit late, but we're gonna try to keep this under 45 minutes, definitely an hour. And then Sean Kober is jumping in right after, so that's where we're gonna be flying with this coffee. If people want to see the first podcast that's more about your life story, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go check that all out. It's about John Hutchinson and his life story and what brought him to Thailand. Today, we're going to kind of open up that time capsule and let's discover what, your predictions were from the last time you were on. So I'm going to kick that to you. Just take it away. The last time you were on, you're chatting about taking all these belts and what your plans were for 2023. Can you just give us a full recap of your year?
Yeah, I remember telling you that like 2022, so we were just warming up, and 2023, it was history time. And I believe we done it and more, it was world title fight after world title fight, or top of the bills. We tapped into the boxing, MMA. We had a world title fight in kickboxing, tapping into the Muay Thai. We went for every belt out there. So
who was the first? Was it? It's Anatoly. He won the heavyweight belt.
Anatoly won the two belts. He won the heavyweight belt against Arjan Buller. So he became the unified heavyweight champion and the lightweight champion. He beat the Ritter for that one.
Okay, for some reason I thought he already had that last time we talked.
Yeah, he did, but it was he wasn't the full champion. Arjan Buller was the full champion, the heavyweight.
Okay.
So then when he beat Arjan, he became the number one and won the belt. So yeah, and it was funny because after our podcast, it was probably one of the busiest times of my life. I remember I went back to Ireland, and that trip was special. It connected me with all the Irish again. It connected me with boxing. It took my love for boxing back for more, because I was always in the MMA the year before. And when I was there, I started running and shadow boxing, and I thought, I love this. Getting butterflies for the boxing again. And funny how it went then, Tim Tszyu, the start of the year, he fought Tony Harrison, and he became the WBO champion. And then this is just like the boxing year. And then we had Irish heavyweight come over, big Thomas Cardy. And then I started working Nikita Tszyu, Tim's brother. I became part of the Tszyu camp, and I seen the growth in Tiger boxing. It's just been going the next level all the time. All year, it's been the busiest class in Tiger. It's like one of the strongest sparring days. Like, you want to see some of the sparring there someday. We had guys arriving from Australia, like good boxers. We had bare knuckle champions come from Russia. It was serious mix, with glory kickboxing champions, like big units of guys. It was like phenomenal. It's been a great year.
Were you working with these boxers before the last time we talked?
I've always worked with Tim Tszyu, just little camps here and there, but I've become more and more part of their team now. I'm with their brother. I help their coach. I think maybe this year, especially now 2024, like you're gonna have Tim and Nikita, the two brothers, fighting on the same cards, you know, and they're building a team around them, you know. Well, one thing that stuck out for me, I remember Tim was in a podcast and he says, people who are true to themselves and loyal to the team are the only people that get in the zoo camp, and that give me butterflies, you know. I earned my spot there, respect with these guys, and it goes to show with every fighter I'm working with, I'm becoming more and more like a solid whole member, you know.
For those guys like Tim Zoo, how does the structure work when you're building the teams? I'm assuming they have like a home base, a home camp.
Yeah.
When do they invite you over? Is it kind of getting closer to the fights? Are they coming here? You're going there?
Well, Tim always comes here for pre-camp. There's something about the mindset of pre-camp in Thailand. There's no... I've been around the world in camps. I believe Thailand is something special at the start. It's the heat, the intensity, the big Buddha runs, just the way you train here. You get more done in a normal day than anywhere else in the world, you know, because everybody's just training. Where maybe in Australia, their day-to-day life, you know, they've got businesses, they've got people around them, but here they can switch off. And they took Nikita over as well, you know. They introduced him the hard way, you know, hard sparring and the Thai heat, and it prepares them mentally. And then they go on then for their bigger camps, you know, and it's paying off. They've got a real good routine now. For Tim, I believe he's pound for pound 154 best fighter on the planet right now, and this year will show it. You know, the patient king, he's been waiting a long time for Charlo. The guy that has all the belts, Jermaine Charlo, you know, has been avoiding him for a reason. Big year. March 2nd, they're fighting in Vegas.
Is this WBO, WBC?
WBO, but most likely by the end of the year, it'll be all 5 belts, you know, IBF, IBO, the ring, all of them, you know. I only mentioned 3 of them, there's 5 of them. All 5, there's 5 belts, and that's what his goal is. He's been saying it a long time, all the belts. He's attracted with hard work, and especially the way that guy speaks. When he speaks...
Where's he from, original?
He's from Sydney, and his father is Costazu, you know, 10 years world champion, you know, phenomenal, unique fighter. Like, it's... they've done it the hard way, you know. They've done it their own way. They haven't had it easy. They've had nothing handed them. They've earned it all, you know. He's the face of boxing 2024.
So he'll come over here, kind of do that pre-camp, and he's bringing his team here. Or what kind of role do you play in his team?
No, he just comes himself. I just get on very good with him and his coach, Igor. It's like his uncle, you know. He trained his father and all. So that's a very close team, and we really have a good, strong bond. And
jumping onto your other belts, as we're kind of opening that time capsule as well, Fabricio Andrade went on to win. It was the featherweight at one, correct?
No, it was the bantamweight. It was the very start of the year. It was February 24th. It was like 2 Brazilian legends in Bangkok.
I remember watching that. Actually, as a fan, watching that fight, I thought Fabricio was going to go in there and light him up. And that was actually a very tough fight.
Yeah, that was the second time we fought him, you know. John Lineker was like the former champion for a reason. Look at his pedigree. Like, this guy is phenomenal, you know. And he came to put manners like on the new young king, if you know what I mean. He came back a different fighter. He wasn't having it. But that fight, you don't want too many fights. That was a hard fight. That was one of the hardest belts you'll ever win. You know, 2 Brazilians ready to dive for a belt. And the atmosphere in Bangkok is phenomenal, you know. So that started the year.
What went into that training camp? Because you came on last year and you're like, hey, I got to go back home. But once I get back, you're locked down for the whole year.
Yeah.
So again, that's that first belt, and there's a lot on the line for Fabricio there. He's a young kid still.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's under 26.
Yeah, 26, I think.
Something
now.
like this.
Yeah.
What went into that camp? Because you told me earlier downstairs that camp changed a lot of the perspective for you in terms of the training.
Yeah, it taught us patience, like be a bit more calmer. You know, what he learned from that fight, like he went through the storms in that fight. You know, everything went through the motions in that head. You know, it was one of the hardest fights of his life. He got hit in the first round. He didn't know where he was at. You know, that's how hard he hit. Like, you don't want too many of them fights. Yeah, we just kept calm. We knew the training we done. You could have got hit for Fabricio with a bus that day. He wasn't losing that belt. You know, that camp was phenomenal. It was a real good camp. It started the year off great. First belt of the year, you know. It's funny what happened then. The next morning, I flew my sister over. She's never been to Thailand. It was the year I wanted to look after my family, and I didn't have time for her. I was even though it was a good trip for her, I was away putting her in little boat trips. No, I remember after the fight, I said, "Let me take you out after," because the next morning I have to fly to Petr Yan to Vegas, and so we had one small little afternoon together. I said, "Right, I see I've got to go." And then I went to get on the flight the next morning, and I had a problem with my visa, and I got denied entry in America. I was like, oh, shit, whatever, you know, and I couldn't get over to Peter, and I was like, from good to, all this trouble. I believe we attract everything, you know. It was I learned so much from all this. This year, I've never learned as much about my own mind, everything happens for a reason, you know. I don't know what the reason was at the time, but I was stressing out. I was trying to get flights. I booked an hour flight to try and get to America, but it didn't happen. And then Anatoly is meant to fight March 2. And I think it got pushed. I can't remember. Bullard kept pulling out. We lost count so many times that guy pulled out. But we finally got the Bullard in. It finally took place, and that was an hour phenomenal camp, you know.
When did that fight end up happening? Where was that?
I can't remember. It was in Bangkok. I can't remember the right date now. I need to go back and check. It's March, or maybe it was June. It wasn't too active last year. The problem is with Anatoly, nobody wants to fight him. He's the heavyweight champion, the light heavyweight champion, and nobody will fight him. They're all looking for big money, or they won't fight him.
What is light heavyweight the same weight in one as it is in UFC?
It's 102 in kilos, so I don't know what that is in pounds.
The light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at 225, and 205 is 205. UFC, so it's very different. Okay, so it's about, because Anatoly looks like he's probably walking around 240, 250.
So this year, he's going to do something phenomenal. You know, we've been saying 3 belts, you know, we've been putting it out there, 3 belts. I have a t-shirt, 3 belt time. I know, and then, as I say, we're learning patience as we go along. Fights keeps going to, fights not happening. Maybe a yes, maybe a no, and we've got to keep positive. And I keep saying to Anatoly, you're going to get your 3 belts. Now, March 2nd, 2024 in Qatar, the first MMA event in Qatar. It's going to be history. Anatoly is fighting for the middleweight belt, 3 belts.
What weight is that at?
It's going to be 93. I don't know in pounds.
Probably, maybe 185. What is 93? Let's just check quick, because now what you're saying is if 102.
It's a big drop. You know, I didn't really want it for Anatoly.
93 times 205. So it's kind of like the UFC's lightweight.
Yeah.
So he's got to drop 30 pounds.
So he's about 106 right now.
He's 106.
So what's that? So 102 is perfect weight for him. You know, that says nobody can touch him with that.
Right.
The speed of power. But we're soon going to find out, because if it was anybody else, I'd say, nah, you're not doing this fight. Forget it. Don't do it. Because the problem is you can't yo-yo a diet. You can't drop down and then go back up because you haven't got the same power. Or, you know, you can lose a lot of power. Your punch resistance can weaken you. But if there's anybody going to do it, it's Anatoly. This guy is already on it. Like, the weight's coming down nice. We're starting to build a good team around him. We have a conditioning coach now in Tiger Muay Thai. Jay, I think he was on here, wasn't he? What a guy. This guy has been phenomenal. We're building a special team, you know. It's smart with diet now, you know. He's done all the weight cuts. Now his conditioning, he's very smart. He's not like... How would you put this in nice words for like some conditioning coaches? Maybe like an ego or something. They don't listen or something, you know. If you said something to this guy, okay, and he goes study, and his work's phenomenal. Every guy who's working with him are loving him. And it goes to show because every fight this year has been a knockout, you know. And we're doing good things. I'm excited for 2024, especially like there's a team building now. He's helping. So he's come on board now and he's helping with the diet and nutrition. We're doing a lot more recovery. He's got a guy now with like coming massaging him every day, and he's happy, you know. I don't know if he's going to be happy at the end cutting this last bit of weight, you know.
It sounds like he could be cutting 30, 40 pounds, but a man of his size, it sounds like he's cutting a lot of muscle there.
He can do it, you know. When you look on the scans and all, you know, carries a little bit around it, you know, as a heavyweight does.
Yeah.
If he trims down, I said to him, you're going to be like Ronaldo, the shredded, like, and he laughs, you know. So, but if there's anyone can do it, he will do it.
Is he here full time usually?
Full time, he lives here, yeah.
Down in your area, yeah.
Yeah, he's not far from the gym, yeah.
Okay. We were discussing downstairs kind of the transition of Tiger Muay Thai and how it's possibly evolving into a boxing gym. And before we get into that, let's take a step back to the Petr Yan fight and his fight with Merab. As his boxing coach and so well connected to Petr Yan, and I think most fans, they probably don't understand that maybe injuries, again, his boxing coach couldn't be there, couldn't give that final training in the corner. So a lot of fans probably questions, well, what happened to him? Was it the money? Was it injury? Was it external forces? Are you allowed to speak on what you saw Petr Yan against Merab? That was not him, and what's going to come?
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. I believe maybe Peter had went on and he didn't get injured, and he had won that fight. His next performance might have lacked, you know. It was just, everybody gets to a stage in life, you know, it's like it can go stale, you know. Things need to happen for a reason, even though you don't want it to happen. I believe everything happens for a reason. Look at the guy now. The guys went and took like a 6 months break, slightly more. I remember he said to me, he goes, Coach, he goes, the last time I took 6 months off, he goes, I let my body recover and I went on a win streak and won that belt. I seen people writing him off. I remember chatting to him in Dubai last week. I was like, how's the situation in Russia? I go, people still, Peter, you know, he can't go anywhere. He goes, no. He goes, after I lost, not the same. I go, you soon find out you're real people, don't you? Who hangs off you and who's around you when you're winning, and when you're losing, where are they, you know? But this 6 months has been great for him because he's went and like shooting guns, like razor focused. He's built his mom a house in Russia. He's got all his business set up. He's a very good guy. Like, he helps everybody around him. All his family's living good. Now they're all living good. He's like, he's got everything in place. Now he's like, it's time to work, you know. The likes of Petr Yan, when he's razor focused like that, this guy is the best bantamweight in the planet. When he switched on, he will sleep anybody. Anyway, he's got that bad spite on him, you know. Good outside, and come fight night, that bell goes, you do not want to be in that cage with that guy. Like, he's all rounded, not just a striker.
What are your thoughts? I mean, he's fighting in March, Yang Sedong.
Yeah.
Which Yang, he's from, well, obviously from China, but he trains at Team Alpha Male, which is a heavy wrestling gym. as well, and his boxing is phenomenal. What are your thoughts on that fight? How does that go?
It's I just think Petr Yan is just no disrespect to Son Yudong. The guy's a dangerous fighter, got power, can strike, wrestling. He hasn't got the same mindset as Petr Yan. Petr Yan's levels above. I reckon this Petr Yan this year, with a good team around him, good sparring, he's gonna not walk too Song Yudong, be smart. He doesn't want to take too many injuries. I reckon he'll absolutely could school him. You know, he could really hurt Song without even getting touched. This fight opens up doors. They could go, wow, Peter's back. He looks great. They might go, okay, let's give him one more fight. Who knows? It could be like the winner of O'Malley. O'Malley owes him a rematch. Doesn't matter what it is. The UFC main title fights, they want strikers. Like, you know, they want the...
Yeah, you don't want this boring Merab just shooting every 10
exactly.
seconds. It's so boring.
Petr Yan, Sean O'Malley, you name one better main event than that. So when Petr Yan fought him the last time, that wasn't Petr Yan. That was a guy who was just doing enough in training. Petr Yan still won that fight. You know, it wasn't the best performance, but Petr Yan in full camp. And also, O'Malley is more active now. He's got more experience. This fight's phenomenal. That's the fight to make.
Now O'Malley, I think he has another level of confidence.
Of course he does. Right as slow as a champion. He's a quality fighter. Like.
But that fight with O'Malley and Petr Yan, it's funny. I was actually we were doing like I was with Brendan Lotnane and Darren Till.
Yeah.
And we were filming it. It was the Dubai card with Oliveira versus Islam, and then the Yang fight.
Yeah.
All of us are watching it. We're filming it for, I think it was for Block Asset. And that fight, it was the first, where they made the biggest mistake on that fight, it shouldn't have been 3 rounds, number one.
Should have been 5,
and number 2, we were going to the bathroom, getting up, and moving around during the the winner. We're like, oh yeah, Young won that. When you heard he lost, you can, if you go back and watch that, you can even watch O'Malley's face go like, he didn't believe he won that fight. Who knows what happened with the judges there? What are your thoughts on that fight? Because I mean, clearly, you know, I think the general public and the opinion is there's no way O'Malley actually won that fight.
The decision. As I say, everything happens for a reason. If we had got the win, maybe, who knows, you know, maybe Peter one more fight and not fight again. Now the guy's going to come back, and when he does fight O'Malley ain't getting off the hook. 5 rounds, this fight ain't going the distance. No. I can guarantee you. And then you're going to see the real Petr Yan. He's come back, and it'll be like 3 times he's won that belt. That's big history. So everything happens for a reason. At the time, it's horrible. You think everything's against you. We don't know why it happens, but I just have a good feeling. I can feel his energy that 2024, these guys are going to go running.
I feel like as a fan of Petr Yan, because again, I ran into Petr Yan before it was honestly his first fight, because he was fighting, and we talked about this, the Japanese guy that was training at Alpha Male, and my friend was coaching there. So that was the only reason I knew Petr Yan, and I actually met him on the road. It would have been like his second week here. But Petr Yan, as a fan watching him, he got the short end of so many sticks. The knee in the head, that second fight with Sterling where it looks like he won and Sterling kind of just laid on his back. Then he loses to O'Malley, which 99% of the people think he won. I felt by the Merab fight, he might have just mentally been like, what the fuck is going on here as well?
I know, but, you know, Peter's a smart guy. He's took everything on board. You know, mentally, this has probably prepared him for even better. You know, he's a winner. He ain't going to sit and dwell on this. It could have happened. It could have done. He's probably took the positives from that and goes, right, let's make sure this don't happen again. Don't leave it to the judges. 2024, this guy's gonna light up that division.
Well, we'll probably. I guess this is kind of becoming a reoccurring podcast. You'll come back next December. So can we have that prediction by the end of 2024, or at least a title fight lined up?
I believe this year that I really tap in with the UFC again. Last year was always one championship, and this year too. Also, like 3 belts to start the year, but we have like Petr Yan chasing the belt. Not even chasing; he's coming for the belt. Mokaev is coming for the belt March 2nd. Alex Perez, one good fight here, good win. The man's knocking on that door like he's there. He's already there. We just keep him fresh and patient.
Sorry, who did you say?
Mokaev.
Mokaev, yes.
So he arrives now at the weekend. I start his camp now for March 2nd. He's fighting in Saudi Arabia.
Who's he fighting?
He's fighting Alex Perez. He fought the main champion. He hasn't been active. His last fight was in 2022.
Is he flyweight or bantamweight?
Flyweight,
that's great.
Yeah, and his last 2 fights has been 2 losses off the best. He fought Figueiredo, and then he fought the champion Pantoja, and 2 loss. But in the fights, it's a gatekeeper fight. I think the gates is opened up for Muhammad. I know his goal was to be the youngest UFC champion in history. He's fighting March 2nd. That's not for the belt, but it won't become the youngest UFC champion. But as I say, everything happens for a reason. He's in no rush. The kid can win that belt, defend the belt. He can go to bantamweight. I always used to think it was a natural bantamweight, He could grow into a double champion. This guy's phenomenal,
Yeah, he's like 22, 23. He's not 24, is he?
He's 20, 22, I think.
Right, and as a flyweight, that means give him 4 or 5 more years. I mean, he's naturally going to be a bantamweight as well.
And, remember when he got injured? Remember his last fight, the knee? And before it was his shoulder. It's his mindset. People say to him, you're not going to fight again, or you need to take a break. The guy's in the gym nearly 2 days later. You cannot beat the person that doesn't take no for an answer.
Is he here full-time as well, or is he kind of coming and going?
He's based in Bahrain. Like the Prince of Bahrain have a big team and all around him. Yeah.
Really?
He's got a team. He can move everywhere, He's very, very close with Tiger Muay Thai too. He always comes back, and I've known Muhammad a long time. We're always helping each other. He's a special kid.
Yeah, so you got a lot on your plate this year. I mean, again, tons of opportunity, a lot of belts. Fabricio with his loss to Haggerty.
Yeah,
Haggerty. This was a crazy fight. Let's speak about that, and then I want to jump right into Tiger and what's going on the boxing side, because this is a recent fight. Now, Fabricio's back in Brazil. Actually, funny story. Fabricio buys our cordyceps on Lazada.
Yeah. He
doesn't. I've sent him a message. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for buying. But I can see him on Lazada buying. He just probably wants to do his thing. I get it. But he had his fight with Haggerty in one for it was for the kickboxing or Muay Thai belt. It
was kickboxing belt. So Fabricio was MMA bantamweight champion, and Haggerty was the Muay Thai bantamweight champion. And then I forget who the champion was, but they got stripped.
Well, it was the guy before Liam Harrison. Didn't Liam blow his knee out?
I'm not sure. Kickboxing came out, and I don't even follow kickboxing. I have no interest in kickboxing. But the way it came up, it's funny, we were like playing with things, not playing with it, it's like, but like the law of attraction, like we were saying all the belts, them fights came out of nowhere. Like I did not start that year thinking we were going to fight for a kickboxing belt, and poof, next thing, kickboxing belt.
How did that come about? How did that come to the table?
Fabricio got a phone call. I was like, come here, the kickboxing belt's vacant now. He was actually going to fight the champion. It's killing me now, the champion's name.
It was a Thai guy, though.
Yeah. It's going to come
now.
No, it wasn't Nongo. I'll come to me in a minute. He got caught doping. They stripped him, and then Haggerty stepped in. It was a super fight, you know. And like that camp, we learned so much. I learned so much from that. Sometimes they say like you learn more from your loss than you do from your win, and exactly that. Everything happened for a reason. I learned so much from that there, and it changed me as a coach. Even the way I approach, even the way I be more careful with my words now. You know, I was going all the belts, and it came. The next time them fights come up, and I believe they will come up again, because it will be a different approach. You know, look what happened through it. Lobo, you know, Lobo, he was helping us. You know, he's number 2 in the division. And I kept saying to him, this guy was like our soldier. He kept turning up. Fabricio was going so good in sparring. Guys was dropping out and not coming back. You know, it was hard to get him sparring. And he kept turning up, and he was taking damage. And
these guys are hard sparring.
Hard.
Once, twice a week? Or
not, Fabricio was sparring every day, like you know, and it was getting the kicks going again for a long time, you know. It's a different speed, you know, just kicking phenomenal again. So he's sparring a lot, but then I said to Lobo, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get your world title, you're going to help this guy, and yours is going to come back from it also. And as soon as that fight at Fabricio was over, we just got a phone call then. Lobo sent me the message they got that Haggerty and him was next for the Muay Thai belt. I go, all the belts? I said, we attracted it, you know. The fight fell through, Haggerty pulled out. Maybe he just needs more time, you know. And he's like phenomenal fighter. But I believe Lobo will have a crack at that belt this year, you know. Not this year, next year, sorry.
Yeah, Lobo's been here a while. I initially... actually, it's funny. He's another guy that connected to me, and he was taking the cordyceps as well. But I've seen him in Thailand for like 6-7 years, because he used to train at Revolution over here.
Yeah. He's been here a long time. This is the first year that I've met the guy. The guy is... What a guy. Doesn't switch off. Like, he's a real good person to be around, hard trainer. Good things happen to good people, and this guy deserves everything he gets. You know, he deserves everything.
The gym now, we were discussing, it's kind of transitioning more to boxing. You're really kind of taking charge as well. Can you talk about the evolution of Tiger? What's going on? Is it still MMA heavy? What's different? Because most people know Tiger Muay Thai, but maybe they're not too familiar of what's going on internally.
Tiger is like a 20 years anniversary this year, you know, and now they're starting to put a lot of stuff back in. There's a real good team building, like I mentioned earlier with Jay. The conditioning's taking off, the boxing's taking off, Raphael's back, the kickboxing's taking off. The MMA or the Muay Thai is like phenomenal. It's putting out fights every week and one championship. Like striking department. Now the MMA, people forget that, think, there's not as many now with the OR gyms all opening up. Like Valentina here is next week. Mohammed Mokaev is here next week. There's a lot of big fighters coming. Tiger can just go fast in seconds. Now they're looking to bring in more coaches, add more wrestling coaches. So it's always going to be an MMA. I just think all I'm focusing on right now is the boxing. I'm not focusing on anything else. And door people's doing their own departments. We have 3 full coaches now. Like, it took time. Years ago, if I had went to Tiger and says, here, could I have another coach? But it's only boxing. You know, it's Muay Thai based gym. Or it took me ages to get to this position. Now they see like this class is packed all the time. We went from 2 coaches to 3 full-time coaches. Next year we're going full-time. Like, there will be a full fighters program, beginners program, youth. I want to tap into the youth. I want to give back to the youth a bit. You know, it's so many things happening in Tiger. Now they're seeing it as like, I have a real good relationship with my boss. Like, is like, for years I said to him, could we get like this I had a vision of this area where I always do privates. Like all the world titles we won was just on the floor, nothing fancy, old school. And I've always pictured when I walked in there like a little boxing area, you know, like with the trees outside, old school. And then I walked in the office one morning and I was like, he says, "Come here, I want to take you up here." He says, let's build a boxing area for you guys. So they're really getting behind the boxing now. They see.
Are they building now?
Yeah, it's all starting to happen now. We're getting new bags, private ring, and it's going to be like a little jungle area, you know. Next year is exciting.
Do all the coaches, all these departments, like it could be MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, do you guys all coordinate together when working with a fighter?
Yeah, of course. Like, as I say, for me, I only need... It depends. If I have to go the MMA, back the MMA route, I'll have to go working with Joseph or the BJJ coaches, you know. It just depends what fighter has, what coaches they use. But for me, with the boxing, I just focus on the boxing and the conditioning. I work with a conditioning coach, Jay. You know, this guy's been phenomenal this year.
So, like, let's say Fabricio's structuring a camp. Is he spending 80% of his time with you? How is his time structured? Because obviously he's more of a striker. I can't imagine he's putting too much time into wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, now he's gone back to Brazil. He's been working MMA again. Mostly recovery is a few injuries, but here it was just striking every day.
With you?
Yeah, me and his Muay Thai coach, you know, Kunni, and the guy has developed one of the best knees in the game. You ever see his knee? Like, that lands, his game over. You know, so he has a little team around him. Yeah, it's just small team groups. There's no outsiders gets in. It's just like small team.
Well, I see you got all the boys out there usually running around Nyharn Lake.
Yeah.
So when that's being scheduled, I mean, this isn't just for social media and for show. Yeah. You're kind of taking charge of the team. That's outside of the boxing. That's almost like a conditioning coach as well.
It's, I love it because, you know, Golovkin, Treble G was my favorite boxer. I just studied that guy, studied the way the coach. I was thinking, why has this guy got so much punching power, like compared to anybody else? What does he do different? There's something. And I studied, and I love hard punchers, you know, and technical hard punchers, not swingers. And he's one of my favorite. And I used to watch him training in the Big Bear, and that place with all the trees and all, and the steps. Every camp, every belt we've won, we've always done a camp there, and I won't change it. You know, it's discipline. We go early in the morning at 6, do all our steps, shadow boxing in the trees. We work on our mind, you know, thinking outside the box work, and it just freshens them up, takes them outside the gym.
Yeah, this thought process from the boxing coach's perspective. The fighters, let's say Anatoly or Petr Yan, they come to you and, you know, they're boxing. They only need to focus for that hour or 2 hours for that day. But the boxing coach, your mind can't turn off. So what do you do to reset? And because sometimes you need to clear your mind of the distractions to be able to allow new creative ideas to come into play.
Well, funny you were speaking about learning Thai earlier. The one place that I can only switch off, I was going to this teacher, right? I knew from the first day I walked in, the little classroom was 2.5 hours long. I was the only person. And well-dressed, proper, spoke really good, like London University. And he went off in the story about Abraham Lincoln and about Thailand trying to send elephants to war years ago. And I go, if I've listened to this guy for 2 hours, I'm going to learn Thai. But he was old school. He made me learn all to read, to write first, to do all the alphabet, you know. But he rushed me fast. It was like within 2 weeks, I think it was like 6 classes or something. I knew the full alphabet. I thought I knew it. I was rushing fast, you know. So Anatoly took me up to a training camp up there, like outside Bangkok, way outside this Koh Yai. I don't know even what it was. Beautiful.
Koh Yai.
It was beautiful.
Like north of Bangkok.
Yeah, and we went in to order food. And he said, here, order some food for us in Thai. And I was like, I couldn't order it. He goes, you've been learning Thai for months. And he was like, You're no good at that here. And then I put my foot on the brakes in it, but that taught me patience. I need things like, every coach needs to have patience also, you know. Your mind can wander, you know. So when my mind starts to wander, I go into a book, or I start to work on Thai again, but books. I'm a big person in books this year. Books has helped me a lot.
Are you doing Audible, Amazon Audible?
Oh, fan reading. Yeah. I just came back from Dubai. I went to Dubai because I had a few days. I took my Christmas early. Like, I knew that I flew back to Ireland. It's a long travel. I've got some of the biggest fight camps starting right now. Travel and back, and my mind would be everywhere, Christmas mode, party mode, you know. So I went to Dubai, switched off. I read a book in a day, like, and just walked around, and I was living the moments there, you know. I was so grateful. It was like, for where I've came from, to be able to do what I was doing, it lifted me. I don't know what it was. I had so much energy. It was like, I've been to Dubai twice this year. The first time I went over to Brendan Loughney. Brendan's arriving now soon to start his camp for this year. This year will be a good year for Brendan. But going back to Dubai, I went over to see him. And McGregor was sparring them guys. He's preparing for next year, you know. And anyways, I knew that it was coming to the gym. So I was doing sit-ups on the ball. And whatever I got off the ball, turned around, he was like this close to me, like behind me. I was a bit starstruck, you know. This guy was my idol, and he was like, "John boy, it's finally nice to meet you." I'll never forget the words. And it's an honor, likewise. And he says, "Thank you for helping Shauna and Molly. They were over here training." I says, "You're welcome, no problem." And then he goes, "Look, there's your guy." And I turned around. I thought he was on about Brendan, but Petr Yan was fighting on the screen in the UFC gym. He goes, "Don't forget, boys, he's owed me a spar." And we busted out laughing. His energy is phenomenal, you know. And anyways, they got on with the training, and they don't mess about. Like, they train and they spar hard. I was just like on cloud nine. I don't know. I was just like getting tingles.
What were you there for? Just to reset or just relax a bit?
Brendan I said to him, "Come on over. Let's go for a bit of training." I had a bit of time here because Anatolia's fight wasn't to now, March 2nd. And I just finished up camp. I was like, right, I'll go quick. And then I'll come back because Tim Tszyu was arriving for camp. Just wanted to go for a little, you know, I had a few days to reset, and I went. It was the best thing ever happened to me. I'll never forget it. We're coming out of the changing rooms. There must have been about 30, 40 people waiting there in the gym, maybe more, I don't even know, waiting for a photo of Conor McGregor. And he must have caught me on the side of his eye, and he goes, "John boy," he says, "come here, let's get a photo together." And I got his team to take a photo. I remember walking home, I was bouncing. I believe I attracted that, you know.
Well, we talked about that last time.
Yeah, I really, really did, because I was listening to him. I was listening to all every motivation that I was listening to the way he speaks, you know. Success leaves tracks, you know. You know, don't follow, but just pick up on what they speak, you know. He inspires people, and he really inspired me like I cannot describe. So if you don't, you know, some people try and be them, you know. If you just take their clues and be yourself, and everything does happen. He's so powerful with his words, the way he speak. But I remember I went home that night, I was like, wow, I'm just starting to... Anyways, I woke up in the morning, I had a follow from Conor McGregor. I was like, whew.
Do you think that because you're both being from Ireland, that kind of the Irish know the Irish in the game already to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think it's what it is. He inspires, not even what he does fighting wise. Why he helped me a lot was because he says in one of his interviews, he goes, he was in a plumbing job. He hated it, and he had like fallouts with his father and all. He was going, "You're a waster," and all this here. I think we spoke about it in the last one. I was like, I was pushed into construction. In my head, it was the last place I wanted to be. Like, even if the money was good.
You were doing bricklaying, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, I was laying bricks and all I was thinking about was lifting belts and all. I was like, we were forced, like to go to work. You're told, work. It's the Irish way. If not, you're useless and all, so I always used to listen to him, and it would give you belief, and there's nobody that believes more than me now. Like, I really believe I'm number one, what I do. Next year, I will show that. I just think what I'm doing, 2023 was the year of preparation for what's going to happen to me. I've learned so much this year. Even my mom, like my closest person, she got breast cancer and it was like a real high one, and I was like, gosh, like you get shocked when you hear that. For the first time in my life, I was like, I could fly back. I could go business class. I flew back and treated myself. I'm going back in style, and I'm going to help my mom and all, and I could help do up her bedroom and do up new things. When she's sick on her recovery, I could help. For the first time in my life, I could give back, And it's true, I always hear McGregor saying, when you give, it comes back, inspired to help people. A lot of good things happened to me this year, and I just believe it's all teaching me. Even with the books I was reading, I had to be careful with the books I was reading. I was listening to audio books and all in the morning training, and then I thought, I was getting a lot of money. I think I attracted that as well. I was like, money started to come into my life, and then I was playing with it. I wasn't smart. I was buying silly things or giving it away, and I was like, hold on, I need to be smarter here. Like, that was all teaching me a lesson. So I started to study business a bit. Start to read Grant Cardone and all. That guy, I don't know what it done to me. Anyways, I couldn't sleep. I was up at 4 a.m. on a treadmill listening to his books and writing down ideas and branching out, making connections and all. But it made me, I wasn't living the moment. I jumped too far ahead of life. I didn't enjoy that day because I was trying to be something else, So I learned so much. Like, now I have I have everything. Like, once you have everything, you're in a good place. It's good. You don't need anything. It'll come. Just be patient, If you think about it now, I'm in one of the biggest fight gyms in the world. I have a really good team around me. I eat good. I train good. I'm in one of the best countries in the world, especially for your mind and health. My family's all good. What more do you need?
Yeah, I think it's just structure and discipline and routine will get you there.
100%.
Yeah. And it's good. You have kids here as well?
I've no kids.
But you have your wife. And
yeah.
And when you're working that hard, it's funny. You'll get when you live in Phuket, you'll get messages from people that are, hey, it's dinner. You want to go for a drink? You want to go eat? And I always wonder, I'm working I'm talking up at 4 or 5. Yeah. I've explained my day. There's no time for anyone in that day. So it's funny. Do you still get these messages from friends that are like, go to dinner? And it's like, I just need to eat dinner. I got to do a bit of work. And I actually want to go to bed. People don't understand if you're not disciplined in structure, you don't, I know it's very lonely being an entrepreneur and doing your thing, because even though you got so much going on, if you don't dial it in, it can easily fall apart.
Of course. I don't want to sound bad or anything, I guess, but I've cut a lot of people off now. Negativity, you see people that need off you, and you get like the messages I get in that Instagram. Oh, I need this. Takers, I'm a giver. I've learned the hard way. I've give to the wrong people, but it's taught me the person I am today, you know. But I say there's nobody that's more kinder than myself. But you have to learn to switch off, you know. And if I'm focusing on training on a world title, and I think, right, we're going to get that belt, and I have pictures on the wall on the belt, and I'm only focusing on that belt, then I go outside to a restaurant or a bar or something, and they're talking about a Christmas party. You're letting wrong negativity in. You got to be so glued into what you want, you know.
Yeah, laser vision. When I had Yuri Prohaska on the podcast, that I took a lot from him. He explained that, like, when you have a vision and a plan and discipline and direction, you know what it is. And anything that comes into it, if it's not on that path, you have to block it.
For sure.
And it's very interesting. I find there's Michael Saylor. He's a big advocate of Bitcoin. I mean, thank you, Bitcoin. I'm absolutely crushing it this year from you. We might get another camera.
It's going good, isn't it?
Oh, man, I've been telling everyone since 17,000. I've been buying so much. Everyone was calling it 10. I don't want to talk too much because you never know. Yeah. So anyways, we'll see again in a year. But Michael Saylor, he has a whole list of things of some direction he follows. And two of the important things I always take from it is protect your time and curate your friends.
Brilliant. He said it brilliant there.
Oh, and then he has like 12 other. But these two, they really stick because as I'm growing, I'm sure like as you're growing, when you start to grow, all the people that didn't talk to you before start to seep in.
Yeah.
And then it's not a question of money. It's a question of time, I find. Because it's not a question, okay, I can give you some money. It's a question of like, okay, but now I got to deal with that person. Now I have to think of that person to get that money back, to take a note, to deal with it later. And or it could be simple things. Hey, can you do this for me? It's like, that one little thing might suck 4 to 5 hours out of your life. And if you don't start blocking it, and a lot of people that aren't busy don't respect time.
I know. And when I came on your podcast this time last year, I remember the night before. Remember I was telling you I was getting up so early. I fell asleep. It was like early in the evening, like before my bedtime. And a message came up at like 1 a.m. I thought it was my alarm. You remember I dived out of bed because I didn't want to wake my wife. And I jumped straight into a cold shower to waking up. And I went down, started drinking coffee. And I don't look at the phone straight away. And then I looked, it was 1:15. I think we were earlier that time. And I was like, I was just giving everybody my time. And I was getting burnt out. So I think, as I say, this year I only played with it a little bit. I'm starting to get fitter now. I'm feeling fresher. I'm using my time more wisely. You know, I'm being more careful who I give my time to. You know, only a small circle now. And I believe this year, 2024, is the year that I work on me more than a lot more than any other years. Like I've got a lot of little goals wrote down: reading, health, nutrition. I'm going to study a bit more nutrition. Not that I want to go that route, but if Anatoly is dropping down to this weight, I need to have more knowledge in that, you know. Not just because I want to. I'm a team player. So I think this year alone is the one where I'm going to grow the most.
Yeah, I mean, as well, it's if he's going through that nutrition dieting phase, if he's trying to drop down to middleweight, it's good that you understand it as well. Maybe you can pass some advice on.
Yeah, it's not just an understand more. It's like I think that what it is, if some coaches get stale, they stop learning. I'm a student of this learning, you know. I'm a student of sport. I love learning. Like, I'll go back today. I don't have to sit and watch boxing, but I'll go and sit by. Last night I was sitting watching all Tim Tszyu's opponents, you know. I was watching Muhammad's opponent, you know. I'm a student of this game. I'll never stop learning. This is probably why as I say, a boxing coach, is what I'm called, but I believe I'm a unique coach because you tell me one boxing coach has went and won all UFC belts, won championship belts, PFL belts. I take something special to it. Unless they go and do it and tell me otherwise, I'm waiting to hear back. But it's unique. So it's a passion. I love sports. I love martial arts. Yes, boxing's my own game, but I also love MMA. So for me to study MMA striking, I believe I built a unique style, and I'll never stop learning. I'll keep adding and adding. I think next year is the year that I'm going to inspire coaches. I'm going to help coaches as well. You know, I see I'm only growing media now. Like, I've hired like a media team. I say I'm only playing with it. I never knew anything about it, but I seen a quote one time that says, if I didn't invest, I wouldn't think I was the best. So I invested because I believe I'm the best, and I'm putting it out there to say that. I'm here today speaking about it. I think with hard work and the belief I have right now, and nothing stopping anything from happening.
Well, that's the best. Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are, I'm always thinking like from a stock perspective. If you're your own stock and you can put your own time into you, what better investment is that?
And now I'm only learning this out more and more. You know, I give all my life, and I think this is the year 2024. I text Muhammad this morning. It's a year where dreamers become achievers. This year we're going to achieve. We give all our life, you know, and there's nobody works harder. All year consistently, I was on that lake 5:30 in the morning, like all year round. And it's paid off because you don't just pick up a boxing world title, kickboxing world title fights, MMA world title fights. Success comes from hard work, dedication, you know.
Yeah, you gotta work your ass off for that. And it's interesting to see. I'll be over at Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA, and I've seen the champions. I've seen Zhang Weili training. I've seen Yuri Prohaska training. Those are the two main champions that were there at the time that I had eyes on.
Yeah.
And then you can see others training. And in 2 seconds, I can be like, how can you be a world champion when I've seen one?
Yeah.
And you see them right away because they're tired or they have an energy on them like they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And those champions, when you see them there, they want to be. You can see them fighting for the belt in the training.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain.
Champions, they don't want to be there. In their head, they're already there.
Right.
They're the champion already, you know. You speak to Tim Tszyu, he's won these belts years ago. He's there already. Conor McGregor, his mindset, the way he speaks, like when he goes to sleep, he wakes up. The content he's putting out, his media team's working, his businesses. The guy has a team around him, you know. It's the way they speak. Going back to that, I was in the house and I was chatting to my wife. I was like, this is the most craziest week of my life. Like, just the way the people I'm speaking to. I was looking in the message. I'm speaking to Conor McGregor. I'm speaking to Tim Tszyu. I'm speaking to Petr Yan. I'm speaking to Muhammad. Just nothing. Everybody I'm speaking to, and Brendan, they're all chasing belts and greatness, and you can't go wrong. I want to show you this. I had this message from Tim Tszyu, and I remember I was speaking about like Conor, and he was messaging me, and then I got this message from Tim that night, and it sent shivers down me. It was like, this is my favorite quote because I love quotes. I always put quotes out. It goes, may you move like water, strike like thunder. May your intentions be as dark as incredible as the night. Come judgment day, may the sight of your shadow paralyze the minds of men like poison. And may your dominance rain down on their souls. For when the time comes to cement your name in the history books, may the gods smile down upon you with pride. Go eat that heart of authority. I was like, whoa. I was bouncing out of bed in the morning.
Who was it by?
Tim Tszyu, I don't even know, but that's his quote. That I would not even post it. That's his quote for the day he's gonna win the 5 belts. And it goes to me, John, it's next level time. It's next level time. I doubt he probably regretted that. The next day was probably the hardest session we ever done. He had the record of 40 Was it? I can't remember his last one, but we done like a no break, consistent pads. It was like, if I get it right, I don't know, it was 50 or 60 minutes. But anyways, it was insane what this man done, and the concentration level. So it's constant free flow, boom, 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 steady. You have to have so much. Your mind has to be razor focused. You can't miss a beat. You know, you have to be thinking dead tie heat, no break, 1 hour pad. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, yeah, when you're surrounding yourself with greatness, I mean, that's going to put you on that path as well. I mean, kind of the quote is, show me your friends, I'll show you your future
yeah.
type of thing. Just before we wrap it up, we got Sean Coburn jumping in here. We would have been much quicker, but we had a double car breakdown today. Oh, it's 1:07. Sean's coming in. I'll tell him I'm coming down. Hey, Sean, we're on the podcast. I'm coming down and give me 2 minutes. Okay, I actually had another question, but we'll wrap it up. I'll just kick it back to you, and I guess like the final piece we'll leave it with is looking back at last year when you're on this podcast, and you had this vision of capturing all the belts, and you kind of saw the whole year. Of that, looking back now, did you make any mistakes on the way? What would have you done differently, and how are you going to apply that to the next year?
2023 was the year that learned me everything better than everything. With all the wins and losses, 2024, I'm going to call this year inspiration year. Like this year prepped me. It was a history year. Next year, where the dreamers become achievers. Where do you see? We're going to have every belt out there.
Awesome. We're going to end it on that note. And again, this is going to be a reoccurring podcast every year. John Boy can come on and let's see what he did the year before. Hopefully he's pulling up here in a Ferrari next time. No, I'm joking. That ends another episode. We're going to cut it short because Sean's here, and I'm going to run downstairs. So don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm going to leave all of John Boy's links in the description, so you can go follow him on Instagram. I know he's working with Fight Nomad Julia. She's been on the podcast before. We're doing some content with the mushrooms for her as well. And that wraps up another episode. Thanks a lot. We're out.